Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of True Crime with Tiff Klein. This is episode 6. I am a few weeks behind as I was doing things for my career and took some time off to better myself. So I am a little behind and I apologize. And then we had that outage and I couldn't record an episode. So this is episode 6, Sisters in Spirit, honoring Kimberly Walker here with True Crime with Tiff Klein. I'm from Ohio. I grew up there from the time I was 10 until I was 20. So this story is near and dear to my heart as I've actually been to the Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was founded in 1844, and I believe it's the third largest cemetery in the U.S. I love cemeteries. I go to cemeteries. I find my peace in cemeteries. I exercise in cemeteries. They're beautiful. They all tell a story, and it's just peaceful to me. I've been to probably over 300 famous graves, so that's something I'm kind of proud of. It's in its own morbid way, but I like all things macabre. So again, this is Sisters in Spirit, honoring Kimberly Walker, episode 6. A U.S. Army sergeant, a SpongeBob fan, and a twin sister forever loved. The cemetery removed Operation Iraqi Freedom War vet's headstone of SpongeBob. Today's story is about Kimberly Walker, a U.S. Army sergeant, a twin sister, a vibrant soul, and the headstone that sparked a national conversation. About 10 years ago, I was in my home state of Ohio, and being the cemetery lover that I am, my brother, my mom, and I went to the third largest cemetery in the U.S., Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati. Spring Grove Cemetery was founded in 1844 as a rural lawn cemetery inspired by the likes of Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris. It was meant to be a retreat for epidemics that raged in Cincinnati. The architect of this third largest cemetery in the United States was Adolph Strauch, who employed a Gothic revival style. On the National Register of Historic Places, Spring Grove Cemetery is an oasis of lakes, ponds, groves, flower gardens, winding roads, and beautiful statuary. And it is breathtaking. Concerts and other events are sometimes held in this cemetery. We stumbled upon the grave of Kimberly Walker. This monument, designed with SpongeBob in military attire, was meant to reflect Kimberly's joyful spirit in her service. Though it was initially approved, the cemetery later removed it, sparking national debate on how we honor individuality and remembrance. Kimberly Walker served in Iraq with courage and pride, but beyond her uniform, she was a joyful spirit who adored SpongeBob SquarePants. That cartoon wasn't just entertainment. It was comfort, laughter, and a reflection of her personality. When Kimberly was tragically murdered, 13, her family wanted her headstone to reflect her full spirit. They commissioned a 7-foot SpongeBob monument in military attire for her grave at Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati, Ohio. The cemetery initially approved the design, but just one day after installation, it was removed. Officials said it didn't meet the cemetery's aesthetic standards. Kimberly's family was heartbroken. Her mother, Deborah Walker, said, "This was Kimberly. It wasn't just a cartoon. It was a symbol of her joy, her life, her light." Eventually, a compromise was reached. 2 smaller SpongeBob-themed headstones were installed. More traditional, less bold. But the original monument, the one that truly captured Kimberly's essence, was never returned. Kimberly Walker's twin sister, Kara, was deeply involved in advocating for Kimberly's legacy after her tragic death in 2013. Kara described Kimberly as a true character who loved SpongeBob SquarePants and brought joy to everyone around her. It was Kara who helped design the original SpongeBob-themed headstone, believing it perfectly captured Kimberly's personality and spirit. Kara was vocal in interviews, expressing heartbreak over the cemetery's decision to remove the monument. She emphasized that Kimberly's love for SpongeBob wasn't just a quirky detail, it was a core part of who she was. Kara said it's what she loved, it's what made her happy. Her advocacy helped bring national attention to this issue, sparked conversations about how we honor individuality and remembrance. This story isn't just a headstone, it's about how we remember those we lost. Kimberly Walker was a soldier, yes, but she was also a soldier who loved SpongeBob, and that matters. Let's remember that symbols speak. And sometimes, a cartoon character in uniform says more about love than Marvel ever could. If Kimberly's story moved you, share it. Let's keep her light alive. Now, Kimberly Walker was murdered. As I mentioned, she was a twin. She was in the military and loved SpongeBob. But there's probably a lot more to Kimberly. I found this just stumbling upon this headstone in the cemetery. And I was intrigued on why. And if you look up the photos on Google, you will see how they are covered up with it almost looks like a big slate standing in front of it with it's inscribed with writing. It's almost like it's covering SpongeBob. And there's one for her, and right next to it is one for her twin sister, Kara. And it's like these big stone tablets are in front of them. And if you follow me on Facebook on True Crime with Tiff Klein or TikTok at True Crime Tiff Klein, you'll see the photos I had posted, and you can see the different angles. Those aren't the photos I took. I lost those from a few years ago, but I found them on Google Earth, and I zoomed in and I snapshotted them so you could see as a reference. They really are hidden. And now there's facing the SpongeBobs, and now there's stone tablets on the other side of the SpongeBob. So it's really sad to see that. I mean, I get that cemeteries have standards, so to speak, but it's frustrating. The cemetery is really cool. It reminds me of something like of Edward Scissorhands, and I'll try to paint a picture for you. And it is a goth style revival type cemetery, Arbitrum. I think that's how you say that word. Again, it was established in 1844, and it's gorgeous. It's at 4521. So it's a cultivating movement. You can go to springgrove.org. Springgrove specializes in creating services as unique as the individual's life that they are celebrating. By working with you, we can help cultivate a moment for your loved one. Well, apparently not, because you can't have a SpongeBob memorial stone to specialize in creating services as unique as the individual, or Kimberly Walker's SpongeBob would not have been covered up. The canvas is yours to explore and make your own. No, again, apparently not. You want a SpongeBob marker? You're not going to get one. It says, from traditional services to garden receptions, Spring Grove's mission is to honor, celebrate, and remember life by providing superior of life services to our families. No, this makes me mad. Your focus should be family. We'll handle the rest. What are they handling? Clearly, they're not handling the headstone that she wanted. Established in 1845, Spring Grove has been serving the Cincinnati area for 175 years plus. Designated as a National Historic Landmark, Spring Grove is a hidden gem in the Queen City with over 700 acres to explore and plenty of room to continue serving the residents of Cincinnati and surrounding communities. Spring Grove offers services and packages for funeral, cemetery, and cremation that are designed to fit every budget. Yeah, but it's not designed to fit every individuality of remembrance, right? Because Kimberly couldn't have her SpongeBob. It is gothic. Like, if you look it up on TikTok, there's this big mausoleum, and it looks like a church from like Edward Scissorhands or something. But anyway, back to Kimberly. Let me find my info here. So Kimberly Walker was a U.S. Army sergeant who was murdered on Valentine's Day 2013. She was found dead in a Colorado hotel room, and her boyfriend was charged with her murder. Who was Kimberly Walker? As I mentioned, she was an Army sergeant and served 3 tours in Iraq with preparing for deployment to Afghanistan. She was described by family and colleagues as an outstanding soldier and deeply loved by those around her. Kimberly was found dead in Colorado Springs hotel room on February 14th, 2013. Her boyfriend, also a soldier, was arrested and charged with murder. The case drew national attention due to the timing, her military service, and the tragic circumstances. Her body was returned and held in a memorial service in Cincinnati. The Patriot Guard riders and military colleagues honored her with flags and tributes at the airport and funeral home. I couldn't imagine what her twin sister, that's her twin, and she advocated hard for her sister. I know SpongeBob is a little like flamboyant for a gothic style cemetery, but I mean, what does it really matter? I don't understand. If somebody is that upset and pissed off that there's a SpongeBob military headstone representing somebody, if that ruins your day, you have bigger problems at the end of the day than, I mean, if you're that worried because when you go to a cemetery, it just doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, like, get the fuck out of here. It's a headstone. Like, are you really that bit miserable and bored in life? Holy gosh, the things, man. Kelly, her boyfriend at the time, was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison. The case highlighted the issue of domestic violence within military communities, prompting discussions about support systems and intervention protocols. According to reports, the couple had a history of domestic disputes, and the murder occurred after an argument that escalated violently. Kimberly's family, again, held a military funeral in Cincinnati with full honors. Her story has since been shared in domestic violence awareness campaigns, especially those focused on military families and intimate partner violence. Her sister, Kara, became an outspoken advocate, working to raise awareness and support for victims of domestic violence. It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October. I just wanted to raise some pointers. And I'll always say that I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I have had the pleasure of working with Gabby Petito Foundation as a volunteer, and because of Gabby, I speak. And I think it's my duty to try to help others. Honoring Kimberly Walker. She served her country with courage. She deserved safety, love, and peace. She had just completed 3 tours in Iraq and was preparing for deployment to Afghanistan, and her life was stolen by an intimate partner. Domestic violence affects every community, including our military families. Kimberly's sister continues to advocate for change, and we remember Kimberly not for how she died, but for how she lived with honor, heart, and hope. Again, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but it should be made aware in every month of the year. It doesn't go away. It's not biased. It doesn't pick and choose months, years, centuries, days, weeks, time of the day, income, socioeconomic statuses, careers, color of your skin, religion, culture, ethnicity. It is not biased. It exists everywhere. Everyone knows someone. So if you see something, say something. Kimberly should still be with us. Her family should not be fighting over a headstone. Well, again, this was back in 2013, but they shouldn't even had to do that because she should still be alive. But her life was taken by a partner who was also in the military, and military abuse between partners needs to be talked about. From the PTSD that they deal with, I couldn't imagine. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I'm sure that plays a big part in some of the homicides that happen. There are a lot of statistics on military abuse, and some of them, it's approximately 80% of victims and younger service members are disproportionately affected. 65% of victims are married partners, and the rest are former spouses of intimate partners. 22% of victims are under age of 30, showing a high impact of younger service members, and 80% of victims are women, while 20% are men. Children in these households face increased risks of trauma, behavioral issues, and long-term emotional harm. Military readiness suffers, with studies showing a 15% decrease in performance and cohesion due to domestic violence incidences. Military families face unique challenges. They frequent relocations and deployments, fear of damaging a partner's career, limited access to civilian support systems, and stigma and lack of confidentiality within military channels. Being in the military is one of the top 50 barriers to leaving an abusive relationship, according to survivor and advocate Sarah Buell. The Department of Defense has acknowledged domestic abuse as a threat to both personnel and mission readiness. The efforts include prevention programs, confidential reporting options, and outreach to military spouses and dependents. The VA Health System Research Team has conducted extensive reviews on intimate partner violence among veterans and active duty members, highlighting the need for tailored interventions. Advocacy groups continue to push for better protection, survivor support, and accountability within military systems. I don't think that's talked about enough. I just wanted to raise some awareness on military abuse. It does exist. And again, we lost Kimberly Walker, an RB sergeant, as she was preparing for deployment to Afghanistan after serving 3 tours in Iraq. And all her family wanted was a memorial of SpongeBob, and apparently it was a sight for sore eyes to the community. It breaks my heart because it's a headstone. I mean, I know some people would say, well, her parents chose to bury her there. They could have put her somewhere else, but they shouldn't even have been allowed to put it there to begin with to get their hopes up. Maybe they should have been told from the start. That would have maybe swayed them to go somewhere else or pick something else and not cause somebody to be so pissed off that they had to see SpongeBob. How much of a miserable person are you to have to complain that it ruins the aesthetic? That's just disrespectful, especially for our military. A woman that was murdered after serving our country, and you have the balls to complain about SpongeBob? Excuse me. Anyway, I don't have a lot of details on this case, so this isn't going to be a long episode, but I just wanted to raise awareness on Kimberly Walker and the issue of her headstone in Cincinnati. I just want to know, Do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? If you head over to my Facebook page, there is a post. You could just type in True Crime Tiff Klein episode 6. It should pop up, or True Crime Tiff Klein on TikTok. You can leave it in the comments. I also want to know your thoughts on the SpongeBob headstone. I will wrap this up and I will be posting very shortly, and then we will move on to episode 7. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, remember that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but it should be every month. And if you need resources, you could reach out to the Gabby Petito Foundation. They have a banner that pops up as soon as you get on the website. They don't provide direct services or legal representation, but they've gathered helpful legal and advocacy resources. It's the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which offers free confidential support. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE or text the word START 8788. And you can also chat live at thehotline.org. You can find help. You can have safety planning. You can learn how to support victims. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline, National Center for Victims of Crime, RAIN, which is the National Sexual Assault Hotline, domesticshelters.org, international resources, safety planning tips, and so much more. So you can head over to the GabbyPetitoFoundation.org/domestic-violence-resources. While you're there, you can enter to win a Crime Con raffle, win 2 VIP tickets and a hotel accommodation to Crime Con. So I got to go to Crime Con and hung out with Nikki and Tara and Joe and Jim, Gabby's parents in Denver. I had met them before volunteering and sponsoring their golf tournament last summer in Long Island. They are phenomenal, but they are giving away 2 gold VIP tickets to CrimeCon 2026 in Las Vegas and a 3-night hotel stay from May 29th to the